of Bomber Command in World War II were purchased at a terrible cost. Of every 100 airmen who flew in the war, 45 were killed, 6 were seriously wounded, and 8 became prisoners of war. My great-grandfather Jack McIntosh was presented with the Distinguishing Flying Cross, DFC, on August 3rd, 1945, with the following citation: "This officer has taken part in sorties on most of the important German targets during a most successful tour of operational duty. On one operation, his aircraft was severely damaged by an enemy fighter, 2 of the crew being killed and 1 wounded. In spite of this, by fine airmanship, pilot Officer McIntosh made a successful return to base where he executed a skillful crash landing. On another occasion, a wing of his aircraft was set on fire, and one of the tail fins was rendered unservicable in an encounter with a fighter. Despite such harassing experiences, this officer has displayed continued gallantry. He is a skillful and courageous pilot." 3. The success of Bomber Command in World War II were purchased at a terrible cost. Of every 100 airmen who flew in the war, 45 were killed, 6 were seriously wounded, and 8 became prisoners of war. My great-grandfather, Jack McIntosh, was presented with this strike on February 27, 1943, on my great-grandfather's second night mission into Germany from a Royal Air Force base in England. Their mission was to bomb a section of Frisian Islands off the coast of Germany. The aircraft he flew, a Halifax bomber, was heavily damaged by hits from flak fire from both enemy ships and an enemy ship night fighter. 2 of my great-grandfather's crew were killed. Flight engineer Grogan and rear gunner Dunbar. Mellon had been severely wounded in the leg, but despite his wounds and pain, he took over. He took over the duties of flight engineer, as well as his own navigation duties. The crew extinguished the fires as St. Mellon charged their way home and aided my great-grandfather as the flight engineer in bringing the Halifax bomber back for a success crash landing at Coltshall Air Base in England. A controlled crash landing is getting the aircraft and crew down safely with as little harm to the crew or aircraft as possible. Many times a controlled crash could result into more damage and death. There was always the unknown factor that took the lives of many who thought they had it in control, along with no knowing what mechanical faults could happen to his aircraft as he brought her in. My great-grandfather knew he still had 3 1,500-pound bombs in the bomb bay of the Halifax. The long tube-like devices were filled with high explosives. There was no way for all the crew to parachute. It was all in hands of the pilot and wounded Sergeant Mellon, working as flight engineer to get down in one piece.